I'm very happy to welcome to the studio this morning Sia Slikour Mitane, who is, of course, a founding member of the celebrated hip-hop group Squatter Camp, CEO of Slikour on Life, which is a platform that is dedicated to bringing down barriers, granting access to spaces, and facilitating cohesive conversations with businesses so that they can help the stories of musicians and culture and make them more seen, more heard. He is with us in the studio today. It is so good to see you, dude. How the hell are you? Look at you. Look at you.
I'm cold. I'm cold and gray.
It is cold, right?
I'm cold and gray. It's a real thing. It's a real thing.
It's not exactly pleasant, but it's nice to see you. I haven't actually been in a room with you for a while.
It's been a minute. Good seeing you too, you know.
But we've known each other a very long time. So there's a lot to catch up on. I believe you've written a book.
Yeah. Well, pretty much I've been talking and someone has been writing, you know. So
how does that work? Tell us about the process here, because we were talking about how hard it is to write a book. And Lebang was saying it's difficult to put your life out there.
Yeah, it's not easy.
You know? It's difficult also to deal with people who are going to edit your words.
Yeah.
You know it's going to be there forever. That's the difference between a book and anything else.
Yeah. I think I wasn't going to write a book, to be quite frank. I was almost like I'm dead, you know, if anything, you know. I was dead by Helen Herimbe, you know, because we had an event and they were talking about something related to South African hip hop and they never mentioned Squatter Camp. So I was in the room and Helen came up to me and she said, don't you think that like you're being erased from history, you know? And I was like,
shit, that's a terrible thing for someone to say.
Yeah, I mean, well, because of our relationship, she can say anything to me clearly, you know. and I was like, shit. Helen, you know, you can't make history remember you. If they don't remember you, they don't remember you. You know, it is what it is. You know. And she's like, no, you got to write something. You got to write a book. And I was like, Helen, geez, imagine now me writing a book. I'm not so consumed in myself, you know, like that.
Okay,
you know?
But I mean, I don't want to talk about me here, but the fact is, like, I've had to write 2 books, and the one that they wanted me to write was like autobiographical, basically.
Yeah.
And I hated it. I hated the process. I hated the idea of it because I kept thinking, who's going to read this?
Yeah.
For every, and there are, like Lebang and I were saying earlier, there's so many books now. Everybody's got a book available. And I keep thinking to myself, well, who's going to read mine?
Yeah.
And did you feel the same?
I never really felt that way. In fact, I never kind of worry about what's going to happen in the end because I wouldn't do anything. Half the things I do, you know, to be honest with you, half the things I do, it's always like, I think this is going to happen in the world. Let me just do it, you know? But more than anything, I felt the underlying thing was, well, who is telling this story about this hip hop thing, and really the story is about energy. What I really wanted to, I always say, I got friends who I sit and they go, why don't you always post half the stuff you say? I'm like, you know, I'm not like the message you receive gets to those who need to receive it. You know, you get to a point in your life where you know that impact is not about like multiples. Impact is about the few that get it, you know, and that are able to action it, right? So even when I wrote the book, I wasn't literally looking to be a top seller. I wasn't going to be out there doing mad road shows trying to.
So you didn't have any heightened expectations at all. It was just something that you wanted to do. You didn't care what happened.
I don't have heightened expectations for nothing, to be quite frank. Everything in my life is stuff that I just want to do. And
it's quite sensible, huh?
Yeah. I mean, and I'm fortunate that, like, you know, some of it becomes successful. I'm able to make money. That's why I wasn't going to survive in the world of music or in the world of anything that once again starts becoming competitive and starts having egos and everything else. Because even when I was a rapper and I was just battling and I was being competitive, it was just my innate self just doing it. But when it started becoming like, this is what it means when you get here, when people start putting merit to things, whether it's status or merit, it starts becoming like, is that what we're working for right now? So I just do things, you know.
I love that attitude because I think it would be such a roadblock for most people. They'd be so worried about success or failure. How many people are going to read this? How many am I going to sell? And it would stop them from sometimes telling some really good stories. And you've got a ton of stories. I mean, you mentioned lots of people in the book, so I'm not going to have you spoil everything. But we've got stories about Zola, about Bonang, Questa, and all the brands that you've worked with, some of which are big, well-known international brands. I'm sure some of these stories are maybe not like pure PR for them either.
No.
So, all right, let's go through your story, because really one of the things I wanted to do here this morning was also just kind of have a bit of a profile interview of you, because we've known each other a long time. I've obviously, been interested in what you've been doing with Slikour on Life in particular, because that's kind of the next evolution, and that's where we met for the first time years ago. But you're from the East Rand, right?
Yeah, I'm from the East
I mean,
Rand.
nobody's perfect, but
Yeah. You know what
East
I mean?
Rand always catching strays.
I'm
Damn.
not, but like, it's so not perfect that I'm now from Ikuruleni, okay?
okay, yeah.
Okay.
I
That's
literally
East
like, I moved to a new place, but I stayed at the same place. I went from East Rand to Ikuruleni.
So, all right, tell us about how you grew up.
I think it's funny. The book is very close to me thinking about knowing who I am. Actually,
That's a big claim.
Yeah, yo.
Let's
whoa.
not breeze past that.
Ooh, slow down.
I'm just
That's a big no. The book is very close to me knowing who I am.
Yeah, that's heavy.
Holy shit!
It is.
I didn't feel like that after my books.
It's because I don't know who was right. At least Helen is a friend, and in fact, I would like the book. She became like a sister, right?
But
Because
hang on, you sat down with her and you told her stories. She wrote this.
She wrote.
yeah, we when she said I said I don't have time. I said I'll give you 3 hours every week, into like 3 years ago, and she religiously came to the office for 3 hours. We sat down. I spoke, she wrote, she'll give me feedback, and we'd miss a few weeks. But without her, there is no book. I wouldn't call her and say, "Are you coming? Are you?" She'd literally always show up, So it's really her book, And she said, "I'm not gonna write a book again after that." But
You put her off writing.
Yeah, but she really guided me. So I think that what the book did, when you talk about where I'm from a place where it's exactly that. We don't get seen. People don't. We're not in people's subconscious like a guy from Soweto or whatever the case be.
Sure.
So what that trains you is to actually work without being seen. You know what I mean? It literally prepares you to actually not be celebrated, but keep working, because now you got to weigh: am I going to wait, or am I going to work? So I've always chosen the idea of working.
Oh, bars.
Was her idea to document hip hop history in South Africa?
Nah, the book is not even about hip hop history. The thing is that the book is about energy. The title is something that the publisher was like, "Nah, this is how we should call it." But the book is really about energy, but with the backdrop of my life. So it's almost all these things that I literally plant, which multiply, or which grow, or things I foresee that grow, or people I pull into spaces and they literally like become something, or I get pulled into spaces where people think I'm not going to do anything, and I multiply things and I change people's perception for things. So it's really a story about by giving constantly, and this is who I am. By constantly giving, you actually allow yourself to pivot, because I could call Gareth and go, "Gareth, I think there's an opportunity here and here." If I cared about Gareth enough to put him in a space that like I don't know about, I don't think I'd care about Gareth. But if I put Gareth in a space where I'm like, "Hey, there's this," and then they go, "Gareth did this," I start learning about new spaces because of all the people I kind of move with.
Yeah, because I mean, you've been involved in like brand building and advertising and creating, ID and all that kind of thing.
I'd had to learn what it all means. I've had to learn the where the money is, the legalities of it, and dealing with. And the one thing you can never learn is people. Dealing with people will show you flames, right? But I've had to learn who I am with dealing with people also. The consistent learning of that.
Is there stuff that you left out of the book because you felt like it wasn't anybody's business, or it would have made some people feel bad, or it could have painted some people in a bad light, or even made you feel like you weren't at your best at certain times. And I mean, a lot of people, their ego kind of takes over in these situations. Or did you just tell the stories? Helen wrote it down, and when you saw something, you were like, well, I don't know if I want to include that, but it was something you had to do.
The book is a lot of vulnerability, right? It's not even the stories. I could have pulled stories. I mean, they talk. There's the Bonang story, the Quest story, but like it's not like it's nothing.
See, I feel bad though sometimes if I'm telling a story about that involves someone else and I don't have their permission.
Well,
share it publicly, especially if it was something between you and like a girlfriend or something like that. Sometimes I feel like it's a little bit like you're using them in some way.
Well, I felt that there was a sense of let me maybe give context to what you already know more than anything.
Okay.
And I felt like I even spoke to Bonang, a few weeks before the book came out, She
didn't slam down the phone on you and
nah, I don't think there's I haven't spoken to her in years. We haven't spoken in years, but like there's no.
Oh, great! Now you're writing a book about me.
Yeah,
fuck yourself.
She's a few pages in the book. You know what I mean? But like it's like another person. Was Dr. Sipho Sithole too? Also, with Gallo. I had my fights with them.
Yeah.
And the irony is that Dr. Sipho Sithole called me a week before the book came out, and he was like, he calls me Siyabonga, like my full name, because hey Siyabonga, I've just been wondering, when you wrote your shout outs there in the Gallo cover, what did we do to you? Why did you? Because I cursed them out on my on the sleeve, right? And I said, Dr. Sipho, I was a kid, it is what it is. But like, I wrote about him on the book, and I wrote about what happened and what made me write whatever I wrote there. But I did make him know there were some things that, like, when we were going through it, the last editorial part of it, we're like, do you really want to say that? Because you're assuming that. And I was like, okay, I don't want to say it, but I also don't want to not say what really happened, because I also want to show my ignorance also to certain things, right? Because that's the vulnerability we're trying to show, is that, you might have made a success of a few things, but like you also made a mess of a lot of things.
Sure.
So the book really talks about my messes more than which literally helped me pivot and make me grow at the same time.
It's hard to talk about your own messes.
Yeah. But it's also important because you need to look back on the person that you were versus the growth that you have experienced to be the person who you are today.
Let me tell you like this. Look at Vladimir, look at Hitler, like humans are a mess. And then if I compare my mess, I go, I'm okay. I can live with my mess. You know what I mean? Look at our political landscape. Human beings are a mess.
Yeah.
You gotta literally make peace that you're also part of the mess.
Sure.
But like, and your mess literally could help other. If you start realizing you're a mess and you start like putting it out there that I was a mess here, you only see what's pleasant and what probably I'm comfortable to show. But here's the mess. But this is the mess that literally also builds the blessing, right?
100%.
So let's just go all the way back to Squatter Camp, because when you guys broke up as a band, it was, for many people, it was really bad news, and people were very unhappy about that. And there was blame passed around, remember?
Yeah.
This feels like ancient history, but this is a big deal.
Yeah.
So have you addressed all of that in the book too? And who do we blame? Most importantly.
Well, look, I don't think Squatter Camp ever broke up, but I do think but like there are stories. There's in the book literally like the reason why I said fuck it, you know what I mean? Really does come across, and I still don't know. Look, we're good with the guys, and and we never actually officially broke up. It's just that we all went our separate ways, but we're still friends. But there's always people that speak in people's ears when we're in different spaces, and that kind of impacts us when we come together also. So there are lessons there in a group also, but yeah, who do we blame? I think all of us are to blame. All of us are to blame.
The person who says that is usually the one to blame.
Hey man, I think like read the book because clearly the answers are in the book is what it sounds
Well,
like.
no, but really, all of us are to blame. I'm not even withholding anything.
But you guys were so young and you were just doing something that nobody had done before, like in that capacity. It was just exciting and it was groundbreaking. I can imagine that level of excitement and that level of ego as well, that we are the stirrings in this thing.
Yeah.
Nobody can touch us. Of course, things like that will happen.
And success, of course, like, you know, it breeds a lot of strange feelings. There's a lot of, if you guys were unsuccessful, you'd probably have to cling to each other a lot more. But because you had success, it was like, okay, well, you start thinking bigger.
Yeah, and I
And
think
going solo for you was a big step.
yeah, for me, going solo was disgruntled. It wasn't even like, it's nothing that I wanted to do. It was part of my, well, fuck this, you know.
Yeah.
So
Right.
my solo career was a disgruntled career. That's why I never continued it, because when I thought about it 3 albums deep, I was like,
Actually,
What
am
doing?
I that mad that I'm writing 3 verses on my own and I'm doing the chorus? And am I that mad? No. They're getting the best out of me. They literally, you know, sounds like, nah. So, you know, I mean, it was really that. But also when you think about it, when you are, as you're saying, young, we all have, and this plays a very important role. Just because we're from the hood, we also come from different households.
yeah,
And different households literally also allow you to see the world in a different context.
sure.
So when you have the same success, everyone receives it differently. You know, even in relationships, you know, I was telling a friend of mine last night, and I was saying, me and you could want the same thing, but how we receive information could be different.
Sure.
So how we get to that same thing is going to be different, right? So that could cause conflict, because you might say, hey, you know, Gareth has got an Adidas, what is it, a sweater, you know,
Sweater,
and I would, and someone else would go, hey, Gareth is rich.
Oh, we were
It's
talking about this
perception.
earlier.
We're talking about earlier. Yeah,
you know, but
Yeah.
we both want that Adidas sweater, right?
Sure.
But I goes, yo, that's nice. Someone will compliment you. Someone will go, you know, rich guy has got the, you understand? But we want the, and that immediately when we come out the room, and now I'm sitting and it's me and you and we talking about it, and I go, no, but the sweater is nice, and you go, but you think you're better. Why are you always on Gareth's side?
Exactly.
And you know, you have multiple conversations like that.
And it's different
And-
personalities.
You know what I mean? So you have multiple conversations, and it's small things. Multiple conversations like that literally lead to you going, oh, we actually don't receive these things the same. We want this. So we always think that like we got to be with people who want the same things.
Yeah.
But actually we got to be with people who receive things the same way we receive them, because we can constructively grow to go get those things.
Sure.
You know what I mean? So that's the mistake that, like, it's a big mistake in life. Always be with someone who wants the same thing as you. No, don't. You know, be with someone who actually receives it the same as you. Because if you receive it the same, you don't have to have things in common. But if you receive certain things the same, then you guys will always find ways
But when
to
you
build each
so
other.
when you say that, what do you mean? Is it like a gratefulness? Because
it's not a grateful.
I'm not understanding this properly. To me, like, gratitude is a massively important part of being happy. Like, if you're not grateful about the things that you are getting, whether it's small things or big things, you know, feelings, material success, whatever it is, if you're not grateful about those things, then I don't understand how like you say receiving is different to
the way I'm understanding is it is how you perceive things. So the way you perceive things is essentially you are then in charge of what that thing does mean or doesn't mean to you. So we're both looking at the same jersey, but if I'm like the way I was raised and my background is like, oh, I'm looking at that thing, but I'm jealous of the fact that you have that thing. And Sia's from a background where it's like, man, that's something that I should probably work towards, and I'm influenced and inspired by it.
Oh, I see.
That's kind of what I'm
So
understanding.
it's the attitude. Okay.
Yeah, and gratitude also, there's a scale of gratitude, you know. I could literally be like, yo, I'm alive, I'm breathing, I'm grateful. You could be like, you don't give a damn about that, you just want your Porsche.
Sure.
You know what I mean? So there's a scale of gratitude also.
There
So
seems to be a theme on the show today, right?
Yeah, something's in the air.
Lebang and I were talking about exactly this.
See, how much of the book do you dive into the monetizing of what you did? Because in the beginning, it was a bunch of guys who all just wanted to make music. And
Yeah.
thank goodness that you did, because it put SA hip hop on the map.
Absolutely.
And then after a couple of years, it became, hey, now you're seeing the trickiness of the SA music industry and that it can get very messy. And then Gallo came through. It got,
and also, I think it's worth mentioning too that a lot of what was going on was very unique at the time because
100%.
because the music business was in such flux.
Mm.
I mean, you came along at a point where there was still some of the big serious money making of the the past of the music industry, where it was this monster, this giant behemoth. These record companies were enormous and powerful, and they could control, they could make or break people.
Yeah.
But it was changing already because already the internet was starting to play its part. Already pirated music was a big story. Already the ability for anybody to make a name for themselves was starting to become possible thanks to things like YouTube. So it was a really interesting time to be in music.
Yeah.
It was. What was really interesting was to see how even years after the music, you were able to take that and make it your own thing, where you own the platform and when you began to monetize. So how much of that do you go into in the book? Because that's the more interesting part for someone like me who just loves hip hop, but I've always been stuck at how do I turn this into like a passion that I can get paid for?
I think the book basically, when I talk about energy and I talk about pivoting, it doesn't really focus, like there's a little space about the hip hop.
It's not a business book.
It's a spiritual.
There's a little part about the hip hop.
Okay.
Or my involvement in hip hop. The rest of it is about how everything. It's like hip hop literally was the dominant effect of how everything got impacted.
Sure.
Right.
Sure.
So it talks about like the consistent, the thought, the thinking process of the businesses that I took, the decisions I took, even with Slick on Live, to a point of like, even now, I've literally launched like a creators platform, a creators fintech platform, right?
Yeah.
A week ago, and I'm about to. I was thinking about it. I said, "Yo, you about to go to the streets again?" I'm about to go to the streets right now and I've got a target of how many people I want to use it, how I want to use it. I've gone to clients and I've said, "This is what I'm about to do." The most important thing about everything is just always keep relationships, because you never know how far you're going to need to stretch the conversation, right? So I've launched this fintech platform. It's built. It's ready to go. I'm back speaking to young people about something else, about monetization. I'm talking about the opportunity of how they can literally have a world where they can actually grow their equity.
Let me ask you about that, because you said at the beginning with this book, it wasn't about it being successful or not successful. It wasn't about the metrics. It wasn't about like how many people read it or how many people bought it or anything else. But how do you know when a project that you're involved in is successful? Because you say relationships, all good and well. Like, imagine you and Lebang and I have got a business going and we all enjoy being around each other and we're having a lot of fun. But the thing isn't making money.
Well, there are two things.
How do you know when to stop doing something because it isn't working anymore? And how do you know when something really is working?
I don't know how to stop, but I know how to pivot. I know how to get people. I know when people go, it's even with Squatter Camp. When we were recording Squatter Camp, we were recording it in tape. And I met up with Thabiso Khati. I thought that, look, we had a home studio and people never had home studios.
Yeah.
That was already a big deal.
Yeah.
Now I'm like 13, 14, like got like a home studio situation. It's like late 90s. And I've got a tape where I've recorded in my house, my friends, and this is a big deal, right? I catch a taxi and I go to Norwood when Norwood was Norwood, and I play my demo for Thabiso Khati, and he goes to me, it's got a hiss, it's got a hiss. You got to put your stuff on CD. I'm like, yo, do you even have a studio at your house? I've done so much work to get even catching the taxi to come to Norwood, But then I went back and in the way drive. Well, thank God I sat in the taxi. I thought about it. I said, I'm gonna try and get a CD player.
Sure.
And I literally walked like a good 20 Ks from that to go find a house with the CD-ROM. From I literally caught a taxi to Alberton, then not to Germiston. Then I walked from Germiston to Alberton forth to basically go to someone with a hard drive to
no
go
such
to
thing as a free lunch.
To go to someone's house to literally burn the first Squatter Camp CD,
Sure.
which will be the master that will multiply the current joint CD.
Mm.
So those things for me, it's not about me knowing when to stop. It's me knowing when to take an input. My gut, I'm part of the world. I'm part of the world. And my gut always tells me that, like when we started, I knew that, something's going to happen in the world of online. When I was rapping with Squatter Camp, it was in gut. Right now, I'm telling you the future of transactions is consolidating lifestyle and experiences, because we are with the economy.
Okay, but how do you know when it's successful? Because that does matter. I don't believe I think you know what success is. You've had success, and you continue to have success. This fintech thing, for example, it's not just something to keep you busy. You want it to work. How do you know when it's working?
It's when it makes the impact that it needs to make to the people I'm building it for.
Yeah, but okay. Again, I hate to be
and there's
I hate to argue with you about this, but
no, go ahead.
The impact could be, it creates something for one person. Is that necessarily success? Is that enough for you? Because it wouldn't be enough for me. One person goes, "Oh, you've changed my life."
What if that's like the one person that's gonna unlock it?
So I don't think that way. I think when I think of my people, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I use the word my people, I don't even know who those people are, right?
Yeah.
So when I think in multiples. I think my industry, when I started Slick on Life, I thought, who's having sit-down conversations with artists 10 years ago in a radio world where you literally get if anything, if you get 30 minutes, it becomes 15 minutes because of the ads in between,
Sure.
Who's doing that, for the people that I feel I'm a part of? Those are my people. So I said, let me start a platform that does that. Did I know that it was going to grow wherever it was? I was more driven by the purpose, right? So as it grows, and when I know in success is, it's how people receive it, right?
Okay.
When I start off Slick on Life, I get resistance. Yo, Slick down. What is he doing? You coming here with mics? That's what they were saying. And everything that everybody's doing. What is he doing? Coming here with mics and a camera? Man, the OG done fell off. So that's the thing, right? I'm telling guys now that I'm launching a fintech platform. Guys are like, yo, what you doing? And I'm like, I know when people firstly, I know that I'm doing the right thing when people don't know what the hell I'm doing.
Sure.
Right. And then I know that literally it's a success when I had people who come to me, forget the monetary side of things. I had people who come to me when comedians who came to me and said, yo, Slick, when you started that online stuff, I want to let you know, I was one of the guys that said that you don't fell off, and it's a sad story. But I just want to say I'm sorry. People have come to me. Now I've invested, I've spent my own money to invest in a fintech platform. Obviously now, it becomes here, I'm praying that I get my money back. I'm praying that I make money. I'm praying that I survive, right? Because it's a risk, right? It's a huge risk. I basically took profits that could have grown my business in something I really think that is going to be I really believe it's the next thing. When I go to people and I launch it, people are like, but we're already banking with this bank, with that bank, with it. And I go, I know you are, but here's the thing. Do you have a platform that is thinking of the creator, where the creator can create an event on the platform, sell a ticket, sell their merch, get a creator's loan also over time through a PO or whatever the case be, if they got a job that's paying in 30, 60, 90 days, send, if you guys are doing an event, there's 20 people who are around and you need
and this is specialization, because so far, banks and most financial institutions they don't know how to help people in the creative pursuits.
Exactly.
So what you're doing here is you're and there is room increasingly for more and more niche stuff, right?
Exactly.
So for musicians or events organizers
or SMEs who work with creative agencies, right?
Yeah.
Absolutely. They probably would rather do business with an institution that knows what their needs are, because you have to tailor all the banks are trying to tailor themselves into various places as well. You can't be everything to everybody. So better to have something new like your platform.
But then when I speak to my peers in the creative space, they're like, it feels good, man. It feels good. But we're not, but because
they don't believe in it.
They don't believe in
Yet.
it. But similar to how they never believed in slit. But when I speak to banks are like, oh, wait, hold up. What you doing? And then I go, okay, so my creators don't think like financial institutions. They don't need to believe in it. If I can make a bank that literally never believed in a creative idea, but now I'm playing in their space, and they don't feel like you're trying to take, they're going,
but
you
also,
actually
okay,
feeling
do you come up against people who say, well, you are a musician and a creative person yourself, stay out of fintech, that's for the MBA students? Because those people like to
I mean,
people are people.
People said that like you are rappers, you will never make it. Yeah, it's quite though. People said that you are a rapper. Once you convince them that you can make a success of rap, people said you are a rapper, you'll never make it in the world of marketing. Leave it alone. You know what I mean? It's this is what even my book is about. It's the constant, but what's the voice in your head and how strong is that voice? And we all wake up with some type of strong conviction that individualizes us every morning. But when we literally get into the space of everyone, that literally becomes weaker and weaker, right?
Sure.
So how do you strengthen that individualism of who you are and because it's who you are, then what are you going to do about it? So for me, most of my day is like, so yeah, but what are you doing about it? So my whole day is like, are you okay?
I think a lot of people just get trapped in their own heads and they're so busy thinking about what they think and how they feel that they don't actually do anything.
Or what other people think and feel. I mean,
Even
Gareth,
worse.
what did people
Even
say
worse.
when you started Cliff Central? Same thing. They'll tell you to go fuck yourself, and here you are,
but
not fucking yourself.
But I hear Slikour saying, for example, that there are people who come up to him now, comedians, and they say, "Well, sorry, we were wrong.
Yeah,
you were right about this." Even if people did that for me now, and there are people who have, I don't care. I'm not interested in their approval. If I'd cared about that in the beginning,
sure,
and it was like make or break for me, and really respected their opinions and all that kind of thing. And there were some people who I did, and unfortunately, most of them were believers. But I don't care now. Do you care about that stuff now?
Nah, where I'm at right now, I'm like, I don't even live on this earth, right? So,
where are you? Tell us, we'll come with
at a
you.
higher place.
I'm just here in the physical form, I'm gonna just give people ideas from in this physical world, and they're gonna go, I don't get it. But in the long run, they're gonna be living off, and they're gonna be dependent on that. And that's the same thing I could say with South African hip hop. They don't get it, but people are this an aspiration. They're living off that. This online stuff, when I started it like 10 years ago in 2013, and I was literally doing this content, going to these events. That's what, like, if you can't miss, there's nothing on Instagram. You'll slide, you'll see a couple of those things that I was doing 10 years ago,
It's literally the blueprint now.
Yeah. So I've made peace that, and you have to, it's not even like it's growing and literally looking at things in context. You're not of this earth. You only contribute to this earth. I used to always say this when I was in the industry. I used to go, I don't need the industry needs me. It wasn't like an arrogant statement, but here I am, and it's bigger than the industry now. The earth needs me. It needs me until it doesn't need me. And I just got to give. So that's the most important thing. I just got to give until the earth doesn't need me anymore. Because because this is the human in me goes, you're just done building fintech. You're not going to go to events. You got to go see, you got to go sell. You got to go do this. Damn, man, I thought that you finished. But the earth goes, no.
But do you feel that pressure? I mean, like when Helen said to you, you've got to write this book because we need to document some of the story and we don't want people to forget what you've done and where you've been and who you are. I mean, I don't think people will forget because the people who know you are going to recognize you for the rest of your life.
Yeah.
That's going to happen. But do you feel pressure to stay relevant and all of that stuff?
I don't even think I'm relevant. to be quite frank.
I was
you know.
actually gonna say,
Yeah.
like, without being politically incorrect, I don't think like Slikour's like the most talked about guy, but the stuff that he's doing in the back, that's the most important stuff, because there's people on the ground that are being moved by that. The kids who still have the energy to go be there, wow, 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 wow. They're not doing it out of themselves. They're doing it because Slikour did the blueprint. And that's like, I think from where I'm sitting, that's the evolution of what he's about.
Yeah, no, I don't think, I had to stop thinking about being relevant like 13 years ago. And I had to literally like live my life. Like I had to make my mind start thinking like, what is it like to be a person who's not revered, who doesn't have merit, but just wants to do what they love. And I literally had to live my life around the context of just doing that.
A lot of people who don't know what it's like to be Slikour are thinking that that's what motivates you, and it doesn't. I mean, like, I've known you long enough, and you've known me too, that I don't care about being relevant.
I don't.
If someone says to me, we haven't seen you in television and radio for years.
And then
I'm like, well, then you're looking in the wrong places anyway.
Yeah.
Because nobody cares about TV and radio anymore.
Yeah.
And so if you're looking there, then that's a you thing. It's got nothing to do with me. I don't feel less relevant because of that.
And
is that the same for you?
Yeah, I mean, for me, it's like, I'm going to use this once again. When Helen comes to me and says this, there's two things, right? A, I wake up with this conviction. But when you're sitting around a table and there's a buffet waiting for you across, I don't know, I've seen it in movies. It ain't happened in my life where you got a whole table like there, But like, this is how your day is. If you have the conviction of who you want to do, those thoughts, life already has people ready to serve you in what you need to do, or rather, literally, tighten or validate or reaffirm the things that you need to do. So when I talk about someone like Helen, who's respected in her own right, she's actually very important in the journalism industry, right? If she literally goes, I will give you those 3 hours every week and I will commit. Whatever's moving her to do that when she is her own person is literally big, right? When I sit and I go, I'm going to work on this idea, have this idea, and I show the bank and the bank goes, yo, it's an idea. So I think that the world already is ready to serve what I need. I need to worry about that moment in that time and in that space. I can't worry about what I was 10 years ago or when I was on stage, because when I was there, I had to worry about that moment in that time and in that space, and I lived it, and I'm grateful for it. But now,
when last did you get in a taxi? I mean, you were talking about the taxi situation just now. I mean, this is a fun thing.
It's probably been a minute.
It's been a while, right? I mean, it's been a long time since you were in a taxi.
I'm always in an Uber.
That doesn't count. That doesn't count.
But my life is so simple though. I mean, my life is so simple. It doesn't. I don't think I'd be in a taxi because
there's no judgment attached. I just want to know when last were you in the taxi?
When he was 13, going to Norwood and then going to Albertson and Germiston. And that's okay.
No. I've been in a taxi. I think I've been in a taxi within the past 12 months because I probably own a taxi. So
okay.
Probably or definitely, because if you're a taxi owner, we've got to end this interview.
Yeah, right now.
No, I definitely do own a taxi.
Okay.
Taxi.
Shout out to multiple stream of income though. Like that's the vibe.
Yeah, but like, I mean, look, I just as a side note, I roll in an Uber. Right now, the only reason I'm using a car, I've literally rented a random Suzuki because I need to find a school for my child, and I just want to finish that without me going back and forth in an Uber. But like, my life is, I just want to do what I love. I don't, and I hate like being, let me be 100 with you.
I'm not asking you to justify it. You don't have to explain to us whether you use a taxi or not.
Listen, all I'm just saying, I just want to.
I'm not going to accuse you of leaving the hood behind and going
no,
suburban.
Gareth, it's okay. I feel like once you get out the hood, get out. Stay out. It's fine.
Look, the only way you can learn to grow is, and be in touch is still understanding what's happening in the hood. And I think, I mean, I was just in my hood just like 2 months. I just bought the kids from my hood kits, like I think like for basketball, like I think 34 kids. And for me, it's always going to be a case of, I don't care what's said. In my head, I know that for where I'm from, to be able to go to that same hood that called me Slicker to get those kids kits, I'm like, and the kids, they literally put my logo there and the kids, I said, I know I'm a success, right? I know, and there's no German car, nothing that in the world anybody can tell me, because I'm from Leondale, Katlehong, and I done did what I did, and I'm still doing what I'm doing, and I'll be in a Zoom call with guys.
Do you get people who come up to you in Katlehong and say to you, I just want to be like this, and they expect you to give them some secret, like you've discovered some universal secret that if you could just share it with them, then they can have that too. Puts pressure on you, right? Because there isn't a secret.
There is no secret. I mean, I'm hardcore, because I wasn't given anything. I always tell guys that, like, everything I have is because of the nose. So you asking me, because you asking me something, I'm gonna tell you no. It doesn't work like that. You think that it's gonna no, and the difference with me is that I'm not scared of being like an adult and an OG. I don't need you to like me. I'm gonna tell you the truth, right? I'm gonna tell you I'm like Randall, in Idols,
no, he
in
is.
life.
He is brutal, guys.
Like I'm like Randall in life, not in I'm like Randall in real life. I tell guys that, oh, you're gonna hit a wall, and then I don't speak with some guys because I know that, like, they're gonna literally they won't be able to receive this, the way they need to receive it, because let them go have fun. Let the world hit them, and let them be ready to get the lessons, because I'll still be ready to hug them and love them and give them, because we do this out of love. You know what I mean? If we cannot give it back, if we cannot teach it, if we literally going to be apologetic.
Are there people in your life that you do not get along with at all, that you don't want to have anything to do with? Because I honestly don't have. There's no one that I can think of that I hate.
Nah, I don't hate anyone, but I know there are people who are not comfortable around me.
No, Sia's brutal. Gareth, Sia is so brutal. I remember when I left YFM, I sent him an email. I'm like, "Hi Sia, my name is Lebang. This is what I do. I've been watching your career. Please give me a job. I'll do this. I'll clean the floors. I'll take some tissue and wipe some asses." I was like, "Bro, I'm willing to learn anything." And you know what the response to that email was? "Hi Lebang, I think at this time we're not really taking on any new talent, but I think you've got it going on. You'll be fine." I was so upset. I was like, wow, all I know is hip hop. This is all I'm good at. Why would Sia say no to me? And thank God he did. Thank God he did. Because after that, I just turned into like this crazy hustler. I started doing things that I never even thought I could do because he said no. If he said yes, I mean, Lord knows.
A lot of people thank me later, to be quite frank. I know. I'm like that Drake album, Thank Me Later. But like the truth of the matter is that, like, even in my book, you see they stories of guys who were always here, and I said, "You're so great. Just go. Leave me alone. Stop thinking that you need to be under me.
Sure.
You could be bigger than me." And I told guys who literally felt that I need to be, and then they did. They became bigger than me in different aspects of their careers. And in fact, they did what they love, right? So for me, it's almost like we got to release people, and you got to see their greatness, right? So I don't have any. And another reason why people are not comfortable with me is because I'm honest. When you come, this industry is full of BS and lies, right? So I'm the guy who's gonna be like, that's not real.
Yeah.
You know what you just said right now. You know that I know that there are people who won't believe that. So I'm always like, yo, let's come back to the truth. But the industry is not built on truth.
Yeah.
The industry is built on falsehood.
On cap.
The industry is built on the idea that
build hype and bullshit.
The industry is built on hype. The industry is built on hype, this success, this perception. And I'm always like, yo, bro, let me tell you, I'm driving Suzuki now, but this is my but on top of that, but I can but I can't tell you the rest of my life. This is where I'm at, right?
Yeah.
But you're gonna go, yo, but my kids are hype, my family's hype. In fact, you know what? The only thing that's a risk in my life is like my businesses, but like my business is my heart, is stuff that I believe in. But business is business. We could go up, we could go down, but you know what it is? This human being is going to find a way, because my whole life has been about that.
Do you think that a lot of people don't succeed? And success is a very difficult term to kind of define because it's different for everybody. But a lot of people don't succeed because they're so terrified of losing everything, of going back, especially if they've struggled hard to get where they are now. And they're so terrified of losing just the comforts of like having the house they've got, the friends they've got, the life they've got, being able to spend money or doing whatever it is they do. They're so afraid of losing that they don't risk enough to succeed.
Yeah. And I think the idea of having everything sometimes is what people have, they don't really have, half of the things they have, they have to be in if your company got you there, you'll never be there without your company.
Mm-hmm.
If your credit score got you there, you'll never be there without the bank's money,
Right.
if so everything that they have, they don't really have. So the only thing they have is the academia most times to get themselves there, or they got the charisma to get themselves those things. So when they look at what they really have, it's stuff that if that company shut down tomorrow, you go back to where you were.
Mm-hmm.
If that bank closes, you go back to where you were.
Yeah.
So half of the things that we have are the idea of having things. It's like the idea of being around like people like Gareth, who I'm using as an example, who do these things, who travel to these places. But most times you don't have anything really. So once those things stop, that's why when I said 13 years ago, I had to think of my life like, so you cannot call Gareth because you like everyone else that doesn't know Gareth. You cannot call that guy from the brand because so what does that life look like?
Sure.
That life is a life of nothingness. So how do you build your life from the premise of nothingness? So the premise of nothingness means that like you're gonna go work hard and build the presentations, you're gonna go sell yourself, you know what I mean? So
and isn't it amazing? Like a lot of people think that the people they aspire to be are happy and contented and balanced and everything's fine.
There's still struggles.
So many of us, I've often been genuinely surprised to hear from somebody who I look up to, who wants to go for coffee with me. And I go, what the hell would that person who's such a stellar, unbelievable breakout success, why would that person want to spend 15 minutes talking to me?
You forget that we're all human, Gareth. We're all literally human.
That's why I love your story about how you got hold of Slikour and you were like, please, I want to work with you. I want to do anything. And he said no.
He told me where to fuck off.
It wasn't like that.
No, you didn't say
I was polite.
No, you were polite. You were polite.
I didn't even know about this.
It's how you received it.
It was me receiving it in the wrong way back then. But again, thank you.
You know what? I'm always the reason why I say I'm always hard is because I'm polite though. I do it with respect. I don't do it like
he's looking to say fuck off.
I do it because I do want you to be better.
Sure.
I do it because I want you to understand that I'm also in a struggle to actually make myself something too.
Yeah.
But maybe my struggle is on another level and your struggle is on another level, but I'm also in a struggle to make myself something too.
Yeah.
Right. So I cannot mislead you and make you feel like,
listen, I hate to spoil this party, but it's 8:00. I don't know where the time is gone. Doesn't it feel like we just started the show 5 seconds ago?
It really does.
Dude, it's so good to actually spend time talking to you. We didn't even get to like family.
New Squatter album.
They're all good though.
Yeah, everybody's good. Everybody's good. Yeah.
this album,
Yeah, the
Yeah.
new Squatter
It's
album.
out in the,
Oh,
it's in the streets,
yeah.
you know.
amazing.
Yeah.
that's so exciting. That
Right,
for
so
me is like
Yeah.
so
exciting.
the book, because I mean, one of the reasons to get you in here was the book. It's called Slikour: The Life Story of a Hip Hop Pioneer, and you can read all about it. What
Yeah.
can I say? You've told us enough to make us thirsty for more.
Mm.
So we've got to go and check this out. Sia Slikour Mitane, it's great to see you, my friend, and
Thank you.
I hope we will see you again soon.
Thanks.
Keep making new things happen. Keep
Thank you.
making powerful things happen.
Keep inspiring the kids, bro.
And yeah, that's
Mm.
that's a thing you definitely do in bucket loads. So keep doing it.
And well, shout out to you for going on with cliffcentral.com. Yo,
Worry.
listen.
Sometimes I wonder. Huh?
Well, you know what? That is for me is the boldness. At the peak mainstream radio, you literally, I always remember that like, you know, even when I was coming here, you're an example of a person who at their peak, literally, you could have just stayed comfortable, you know, and carried on.
Yeah.
You would still be on
Getting that
mainstream
check.
radio, you
Yep.
know.
Wow.
So you also like one hell of an inspiration and a reminder that, like, you know what, if you want to do what you want to do, just do it, bruh.
Do you?
It is what it is, you know. So shout out.
Don't be afraid.
Shout out.
Don't be afraid. All right. Thank you, Slikour. What a pleasure.